Aussie house prices topped out and tipped to collapse. New data from PropTrack predicting property values will drop 5% by Christmas. And by the end of 2023, prices predicted to tank a further 10%. Ouch! And the drop's already on, with Sydney and Melbourne already down 2.7% and 0.9% last quarter, and expected to lead the falls. A triple whammy of weaker buyer sentiment, successive huge interest rate hikes and inflation to blame.
By the end of the year, we expect that the cash rate's going to be somewhere between 2.5% and 3%.
Those rising rates already making life pretty tough for more than 740,000 mortgage holders.
There's no use pretending that these rate rises don't hurt. They do, and they will.
It paints a bleak future.
For some mortgage holders, a dip in housing prices will mean that they have less equity in their homes. The increase in interest rates also means that if you are on a variable rate mortgage, you will be paying more for the same mortgage over time.
And surprise, it's not great news for would-be homeowners either.
A lot of people, they're going to have higher mortgage costs and their assessment is going to be more difficult, meaning that they can't borrow as much as they could have when interest rates were lower.
The housing bubble contributing to Australia's eye-watering household debt, now second highest in the world.
There's obviously people that have very little or no buffer whatsoever, particularly first home buyers that have stretched themselves to get into the market. And that's what could really result in larger price falls if we see more people falling into hardship as interest rates rise.
The predicted house price plunge follows the unprecedented pandemic house price rise of 34%. So while thousands of new owners will undoubtedly feel the pain of a 15% crash, home prices will still be well above pre-pandemic levels.
It's not necessarily a housing bubble popping. What we're seeing is the reverse of many of the gains that we saw in 2021, but it's certainly not going to be, back in the good old days for some people where you didn't have to spend 10 years, which is around the average for Sydney and Melbourne, to save up for a home. That's still going to be the case even after these housing price falls come into play.
So what I'm taking away from that is that if you have purchased a house and you see it as a long-term investment, so it's going to be something that you hold onto for the next 5 to 10 years, it's worth keeping it, right? Because swings and roundabouts, it'll go back up again. However, if you're about to sell your house right now, that can be really scary, these numbers coming out. And also this data doesn't show just how first homeowners are meant to crack into the market anyway.
Well, it makes it worse.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people are talking about a correction, but the fact that people are going to have to struggle to pay their mortgage is the number one issue for so many people right now. But it's interesting sort of getting some perspective on it. Australia's median house price is right now 1.065 million. That is 10,000 less than it was in March, but still 100,000 more than it was this time last year.
That's right.
So
it's still so,
but if it keeps going,
there.
So what you say is right, Georgie, but the exception to that is if you bought in during the pandemic. Because you then bought when it took off more than was expected.
Because it was meant to absolutely bottom out, right?
Yes, and so so you bought at the top of the market, and if it goes down, even if it's only for a short period of time, with inflation, cost of living, etc., if you can't pay your mortgage in that moment, you are in big trouble because you can't even sell your house to pay off the debt.
Yes.
So you could lose your house and still have a debt to pay. And I don't know how many people are in that category, but they're the people that have to be protected in some way.
Scary
Because
time.
that's frightening. Yeah.
And it's not even easier to get into the market. I thought that would be the one silver lining.
Sorry,
but
mate.
Not even.
Yeah.
No, because I know how much... That's right. Last night you were cheering for everyone to default on their mortgages. Does Australia remember that?
I thought it would be easier to get, but no, not even that.